Welcome to POSCA Wednesdays, where I show up every week and work in this sketchbook and build a world in it, one page at a time. You name the critters inside it, and I ink it to existence. Let's go. Last week, we did some topography, some of the landscape. We're going to continue with that theme because I want to get a little more in over here. I want to try to get this side dialed in a bit. So yeah, we're going to start over here on this side. We're going to work a little more on this rock foundation, some of the floral life. So let's do that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a lighter green. And what I'm seeing is some, I guess they call it plankton. So we're gonna pull it up like this. We're gonna have little planktons coming off of this thing. This is a good color, appears that it covers real well. We want our leaves a little fatter here. And we can get a couple of them going. Just to double down here. Sorry about that noise, you guys. There was a notification on my phone. We'll go ahead and shut that off. Okay. Now that we got the main plankton, I want to get some more coral stuff going over here. So we'll get some coral back here in the background. I'm going to have it come through the leaves here. Come over here on the other side. Maybe some up here. Just like that. And that'll just be a little bit of coral. Maybe we'll have some down here. Not like that, huh? Just to give us a little more plant life. And then what I want to do is I'm going to come in. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And I'm going to think about putting some rock structure right here. So we'll come in with this gray. And here, it's going to be up there pretty good. So we're gonna rough this in a little bit. Oh, it's gonna be about like that, huh? Well, it's gonna look a little rough in the beginning here. Like there's no rhyme or reason, but there is. envision this sort of starting to slope out like that. Maybe we'll have another one over here. We might not get all the way over here to this one, but we will address it when we can. Okay, that's enough over there because I might want to put another critter over here. We'll put our fourth critter over here somewhere. All right, and then what we can do is we can sketch a little starfish here somewhere without putting our hand in paint. I am the worst offender of that. I put my hand in paint almost all the time. It's right. Anyways, we're gonna build a little starfish here. I'm just gonna sketch it out, just to make sure that I'm gonna like it. They're gonna be. This is gonna be a little. Little bubbly there. All right. About like that, I'd imagine. Okay. We're gonna have him sitting on a rock. I see a rock right here. I got a reference photo of some underwater stuff to give me some inspiration. We're gonna have this guy sitting on a rock right there. Cool. Then we'll come in with black. Actually, first let's hit that with a kneaded eraser. Just to knock the graphite down just a tad. I don't like the graphite showing up through the POSCA art. Sometimes it's important just to sketch something out real quick, just to get a good rough idea of what you want. So I'll come in with this black pen. We'll do a little outline on the starfish. How was your guys' week? The beginning of your week, your Monday, your Tuesday, your weekend. Okay. Ours wasn't too bad. Belle and I, we just hung out and did our own thing here. Worked on making videos and drawing, doing some artwork. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Sometimes that just makes the most sense, right? Sometimes it's not just about getting better, it's about getting a little faster. Being a little more intentional. 90% of art is confidence. So, a little bit of that in there. Seems like those are like webs. Like it's got webbed feet. Webbed something. See. So, I might do away with some of those lines there. Well, we could do that just by adding a couple extra texture marks. Before we go any color. So, then we're going to get this rock formation in here. We're not going to trace it. We're just going to skiff along the actual border of it. About like that. We'll leave that. I'd like to come over here. I'm going to look and see where this thing is doing its thing here. So we got something right here. Plankton. We got something right here. Some plankton. By doing this little bit of an outline here, we're separating this plant up a little bit and giving it a little more value. I don't need to. Some things I do trace, quite a bit just to get the line art in there, but some things I don't, like the rock. It doesn't full on matter to be, to me, because I can always come back at it with some other color to take out some of that black, hard black line if I need to. So, but by doing this, it'll break up the monotony, and it'll show the floral a little more, right? It's not about being perfect. It's just about being cohesive and letting the art breathe. Letting it make sense a little bit. For this style of art, there's different styles of art out there. So this is just, I would say this is more concept type art. It's not full on cartoon, but it's not realism either. This is attainable art for sure. I think that with practice, anyone could accomplish a lot of these same things and techniques. So, yeah. I'm new to POSCA pens, so I'm learning as I go. Now I'm going to come back here on this pink coral. And we are going to outline this a little bit just to get it to stand out from its surroundings. We got some pink coral in there. We got some orange coral. And we are moving right along. Yeah. We'll get this coral in here, and then we'll come up above it with some blue and get some of the ocean in there. Some more of the water that separates the dolphin here from what's going on down here. And this little underwater world is really coming together. And our dolphin buddy up there telling everybody that there's big bad sharks in the neighborhood. Be careful, be aware, be mindful. Don't let that big bad bully get you. He ain't so bad if he can't see you. You know, a lot of these critters, they just want to be friends. They just want to live comfortably and happily and not have to worry about the bullies. Not have to worry about being eaten. Eaten by the big old shark. Nobody wants to be eaten by a shark. Not really. Not at the end of the day. I'm just going to come in and just really fine line that. Just to give some kind of a leaf texture there in the center of those little leaves that seem to be flapping in the, well, it wouldn't be the wind, it would be the current, right? But it's the similarities between land and sea are pretty cool, you know. They got currents, we have wind. Wind is about the same thing. Wind runs in currents, right? It does. Yeah, I want to do a little curl effect there. Kind of like a banner. Okay, now we'll come in with some blue. And start getting this color in there. First things first, we want to outline this dolphin to get the color in there. And if you haven't already, feel free to name any one of these critters in any one of these videos to put your name in for the naming of the critters in our undersea world here, and I will give you guys credit for that name at the end of each page. I'll just make it a note while I'm writing the story, which is another thing I'm going to have to get something in over here, so we'll do that too before we go today, just so I can see where that boundary is going to be, because it's going to be like our last video. I'm going to write a story. This one's going to be over here on this side. I'll write a story of this whole world at the end of it, and I'll read it. I like to make a 15-second short of it as well and post a short, so you just want the story version. Sometimes I can't get the whole story in that 15 seconds, but you know, it's still fun. I will definitely have to go over this twice, because this blue isn't going to cover it completely, right? I'm seeing air bubbles and, you know, all kinds of other things that probably need to come in here. But yeah, I really like the colors of these POSCA pens. I think they got some pretty neat colors that really stand out, you know, really pop off the page pretty good, especially with being it being acrylic. It's not like a regular marking pen, so it dries different. Like there's a texture to it that's really pretty dynamite. It's kind of cool to see. It reminds me of acrylic. Now we're just coloring, like a coloring book. some point I might need to come in here with a finer nib so I don't might be alright though. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, like right there I might need to come in with a little bit of a finer nib. But I don't mind going over that grain just a little bit with the blue. It's okay. It's not hurting our picture any. So this is really enjoyable to me. The tighter the space, the more the world comes together. This is really when I start, you know, just really enjoying the process. It's always at the beginning that it's a little, makes you a little nervous because you really don't know, you know? I mean, mess up. If you mess up, that's, you know, game over. But it's hard to mess up, especially with these POSCA pens, I'm telling you, because they are opaque. I mean, they will just go right over anything if you let it dry and go over it enough times. Not every color will act the same, but I think throughout this sketchbook, by the time I get to the end of it, I'll pretty much have a pretty good idea. I already do of what colors are really super opaque and which ones, you know, which ones aren't. Because there are colors like this lighter beige isn't as opaque, right? You can go over the gray and still see the gray behind it. If I went over that enough times, though, I think that I could cover it if I needed to. That's something I needed to do. Whoops, I'm dropping POSCA pens everywhere. That is just a hint to me that I need to get some kind of a organizer for my pens. I'm the kind of person that loves organization and thrives in systems and patterns and all that kind of stuff. I really am. Well, I'm not opposed to having everything right here at the ready. I also like the idea of maybe having some sort of organized, dedicated spot for it, I guess. We'll save our pennies. And we'll think about making that purchase later. But for now, it's fine just the way it is. And it's meant to be this way. That way you guys can see all the colors. Or at least see, you know, some of them. Yeah, I'm just hammering away with this big old brush right here in these tight spots. So it's not really, you know, if I go over it a little bit, it's alright. Now with trees, when I'm doing trees and I'm trying to get the color through the leaves, it's more of a muted color. So there's a little hint, a little trick. When you're working with like heavy acrylics or colored pencils or anything like that, whenever you're going, you obviously you're not going to be able to do that with POSCA pens because it is what it is with the colors. But whenever you're working in other mediums, particularly, you'll see, you know, a lot of the, when you're looking through here and you're looking at the color on the other side, it's a little more muted. It's a little more muted. Okay. So that is looking legit. I want to give that just a second to dry before we decide to go back over it. While we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to come in on this kale that we did, and in different spots, I'm going to add a little bit of this darker green just to give it dimension. Okay. And Bella's over there snoozed out. She's camping. Well, she eats her breakfast and that's it. I told you guys last week. In the middle of the day, she gets pretty active though. as the day moves on, she or early in the morning, as the morning goes on after she eats breakfast, she crashes out pretty hard. She loves her breakfast. I think it's the anticipation of the breakfast that gets her so tired at the end of it all. Another reason why I'd really like to get an organizer for these pens over here is, well, because of that. I keep dropping them. But give me more space over here to move around. Give me more real estate on this table. So there's not a lot of room here. Having the priming pad and all the pens. So. We're just about going to call it there on the plankton. That looks fine. I'll go down under, grab the pen we lost. Okay. Now we'll look and see what else we can do here. I'm thinking we'll come in with a little bit of a lighter pink on some of this coral. And we'll hit those dots. We'll hit those dots with it. That'll be the two-tone color we put into that coral, right? To bring it to life. I really like dot shading, so there's a lot of different techniques that I've learned over the years with pencils that absolutely transitions into other mediums. And shading is a big one. So I think pencil is a great place to start out for anybody. For me, it was easier that way because you weren't intimidated by colors. But I wouldn't want to say that, shining anybody away from working with colors, because colors is absolutely fun, It's absolutely fun. Now we'll take this paint, this darker paint, we'll come into the orange with it and do the same thing with them little dots. I don't want to cover up all the black dots. I just want to mix them in there with them. Gives it a good two-tone effect there on the coral. Makes the coral look more three-dimensional. It gives it more of a purpose in the area that it's in. So that is looking pretty good. I'm thinking one more time, one more coat here on the blue. We're not going to get anywhere over here. What I do want to do, though, while we're at it here, is I'm going to go like this, because this is going to be where our story is going to be. Okay? This is going to be our story. Our story line. This is what I'm going to write my story in, so we'll leave that like that. I want to come over this with one more coat before we call it a morning, and you guys can get on with your day. Now this video isn't going to upload until 4:30, so I changed my times and all that. I figured it gives people time to get home, get off work, kick back, relax before they engage in one of our POSCA Wednesday videos. Now the second coat really does it in. It really just really just puts that ocean there, without any streaks. And if you go slow enough, You won't have to worry about any streaks. Because the streaks can really ruin your art, I think. You see a bunch of streaks in it. It looks all streaky. And we might not have to be too aggressive there into the plants, because we did go slow and we went heavy on that the first time. So we're probably okay. But here, be careful. I don't want to ruin our little dolphin buddy there. So I really need to be mindful of what I'm doing. And in some of this, it's okay to have a little streaks as we're going up towards the surface of the water, because the water is going to break in color as we go more up. So I don't necessarily want to make that too solid, alright? That's probably good. I'm not going to mess with that too much. Same thing over here on this side. Just a little bit there. I like holding the pen back a little bit on the base. Just gives me more control. Because when I'm up here like this, it's like I'm putting more pressure on it, and pressure isn't always good. In fact, it's never good that I know of. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's good at all. All right, this is looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. Hope you guys enjoyed this week. Next week we'll go ahead and keep on going on this drawing. There's a lot of other little things we can do here. Right here, this is just to give you guys an idea of how I'm going to sew this in. Might be running a little low on the gray. I need to get more of that. I don't know, we'll see. I did get some blue. Some more blue. Because I do use blue a lot. And I think gray is going to be another one that I'm going to use a lot. So, and then what I would do is I would come in and I would just, well, I want to make sure that we don't take out the tail of our shark. But we will clean up some of that splatter that we caused when we were pushing that finer bullet nib pen back and forth. And as you can see, I will paint this whole thing in. Paint this whole thing gray, or whatever color. We're just gonna get it up here so you guys can see that this whole rock formation thing ain't gonna make a difference. We're just gonna cover it, and we'll do our writing right inside this gray window. We'll have to go over it a couple times, obviously. It is going, or at least one more time, because it's gonna be thin. It's not going to be fully covered, but we can leave it there. To me, that looks about the way I'd want it to look. Maybe over here we'd have some air bubbles coming up, you know. Maybe there'd be a little bit of air bubbles on the back of those air bubbles. We can draw just a little bit black. We can do it while it's wet too, so we can go wet on wet. and it'll be fine. This gives us a little bit of air bubbles. And then one last thing before we go, and we'll do more air bubbles than that. No, something like that. Then we could do fish, little schools of fish. You know, right underneath our dolphin there. Give him a little fin. We're just going to use the brush for that advantage. You know, just tap the brush on there. It's the same thing I do when I'm working with brushes in heavy acrylic. You know, just like that. So I mean, it's good. All right, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Till next Wednesday, from Bella and I. Peace.